Alfonso, Filippo, Augusto, Diego, and Christos, 5 new names mentioned by Thiago Motta in the press conference today preparing the games of Lecce. Who are they? We will tell you everything about these new faces. I will also tell you that we are missing 9 players. Who will be the players that will not travel with the team to Lecce? I will tell you everything about the press conference of Thiago Motta that was quite short in today's video. So put a maximum of like, don't forget to subscribe. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. You see that my face, my sickness is not getting better, actually it's getting worse day by day by day. I was not sure to record the video today, I didn't do the news of this morning where they spoke a lot about Mercato, so after the game of Lecce I will come back with a lot of power and energy to entertain you and inform you about Mercato, but now it was important to get up of my coach to be here in front of the camera to speak about the 5 players that I had the opportunity to already watch. So I know a bit about these players. I already made a video a few times ago about some young players, so I already informed myself about them, so I can tell you about who they are. What about the press conference of Thiago Motta? Well, I will tell you, not a lot of things has been said, because it was a really short one, 13 minutes, where you clearly see Thiago Motta, no excuses, no alibi, no complaints about injuries, whatever, about who we will miss. There is one mission, going to Lecce, playing our game, taking the 3 points, scoring some goals and coming back with the 3 points, with a victory, and then from that moment on focusing on Bologna, Venezia, and of course Manchester City that will be in the meanwhile trying, and hopefully we can recuperate some players. Speaking about recuperating some players, we will not recuperate any player for the game of Lecce. On top of that, we are missing Savona. When he says Gleison, Nico, Douglas, Arek, Vasi, Juan, Dusan, Savo, and Weston, well, all of them are missing. We are playing about, you know the names, Bremer, about Nico Gonzalez, Douglas Luiz, Arek Milik, Vasilia Adzic, Juan Cabal, Dusan Vlahovic, Nicolo Savona, and Weston McKennie. All of them will not be there, which means that if nobody was called up, we would have been with 3 field players on the bench, which is really a disaster. We started with 5, we had last game 4, so 5 against Milan, 4 against Aston Villa, now we have 3. And that's why this time Thiago Motta is not repeating what he did against Aston Villa, meaning not calling up any player from the next gen, not calling up any player from the Primavera. This time he called not 1, but he called immediately 5 of them, which is a lot. So the first thing that I had in mind was controlling if they were playing or not the Primavera, because of course if they are not playing, if they are all resting, it makes sense that you are taking them with you. They are playing on Sunday against Sassuolo, that is first in Primavera tournament, you know it, there is no relegation, there is, yes, a small Scudetto, which is not the most important thing, but they are playing against the first, and this time he decided to call them up. When last week, not even last week, midweek, a few days ago, he said, I don't want to take players just to create numbers. I want to take them because they deserve to be there. Well, what did change in 3-4 days? That would have been the question that I, if I was a journalist and if I was present in the press conference room, would have asked to Thiago. Thiago, 3 days ago you tell us that, you don't tell us, but you says, we don't want to call up just to make numbers, just if they deserve it. 3 days later, you call 5 of them. What did they do in 3 days to really deserve to be called up? That would have been my big question. Then you go towards the name. Who are they, the players that will be there? Alfonso Montero. So, guys, I think that Juventus, they have some material to make some beautiful story, because after the last time that Montero was there on the bench with us, we are speaking about, last season, when he coached 2 games, Bologna and Monza, with 4 points on 6. Unfortunately, since then, he's not coach anymore, not from the first team because Thiago Motta is there, but also not from the next gen anymore. But if we are speaking about player, Montero, we need to go back really, really long time ago when he was still a player. And he's not anymore. But his son will be there. Alfonso Montero, he's 17. He's the youngest one of the one that we called up. Also him, like Papa. He's a center back. He's quite tall, 185, right foot player. It's his first season with the Primavera. He played already 10 games with them, assist once. It's not one that he will score you a lot of goals, even if in the goals of Youth League that he already played 4 games with, he scored 1 goal. That was more a miracle than something else, because I tell you, scoring goals is not his specialty, even if it's a really beautiful player, a player that is growing. Look, it's beautiful for him. It's a romantic story. We need a center back because we are missing also Savona that can potentially be there. So with Gatti, Kalulu and Danilo, probably it's not enough. Having a fourth one is nice. It's good, even if I am not sure, because in defense it's not that we change that much that he will see some minutes on the field. Let's see what the result will be, but that's the youngest one that we called up, the romantic story, Alfonso Montero. Then we have Filippo Pagnucco, that not a lot of you will probably have heard about. He's also there in the Primavera, not a next-gen player, second year for him, so he has a bit more experience with Juve. 7 games this season, 2 goals already, 1 assist. In the youth league, he's played all of them, 5 games with 1 assist, 180. He's 18 years old. He's a left foot player that can play as a left back and can play also as a left midfielder. So there, are we enough? Well, we have Rui that can play there, Cambiaso, but without Savona. You can already imagine Savona on the right side with Rui starting tomorrow against Lecce. And the sub of Rui, that is a next-gen player, or that comes from the next-gen, there will be a Primavera that will mind the gap, that will actually be there just who knows if something happens. Filippo Pagnucco. So can he see some minutes? Probably yes. Probably he could potentially see some minutes depending on Rui, what he delivers in the game against Lecce. Then we have a midfielder, Augusto Owusu, middle name Seedorf. That was beautiful, and that's probably the one that you remember the most. Why? Because you remember when we played that family game Juve against Juve Next Gen before the season, that we played in the Allianz Stadium. There was one player from the Next Gen that impressed all of us, and it was Augusto Seedorf Owusu, that played a really beautiful game that day. I don't know if you remember. I think he played with the number 8. I can be wrong. He's already 19. He can play defensive midfielder, center midfielder. He's a right foot player, first year with the next gen, but he was already there with the youth because he played with the Primavera, also with the under 17. He didn't find that much space from the start with the next gen with Montero. Let's see what will happen with Brambilla. It's true that he played 12 games, but only 31% of the starting 11. In Coppa, he played 1 game, 1-on-1. No goals, no assists for him, so he still needs to unlock himself. And that's also probably why he has been called up as the only next-gen player. Probably because at the moment, well, Brambilla is not really counting on him as being the starter for the game of this weekend. And then we have 2 more. It's Diego Pugno, that is a center-forward, second striker, 18 years old, also him, young, second year of Primavera. Didn't play with next-gen this season, 11 games with the Primavera, 6 goals for him. In the youth league, already 5 games played, 2 assists. So it's a player that can do both. Second striker, first striker, score some goals, assisted some goals for him as well. He will be there with the first team for the very first time. Diego Pugno. I'm really curious because it's from all, of course, the heart is to Alfonso Montero because of Papa. It cannot be otherwise. The curiosity is Augusto Owusu, even if he needs a bit more to step up more to really deliver and to show that he's an excellent player. But Diego Pugno is the one that I like. I really like Diego. Sincerely, so that can be potentially a player for the future. I'm not saying next year, but maybe in 2-3 years after completing that youth sector, that can be an interesting one. And then you have probably the most experienced one, Christos Papadopoulos, 20 years, that he just celebrated on the 1st of November. By the way, 1st of November, Juve born. Not bad, huh? But he's on loan from Genoa. He's a really tall player, 188, attacking midfielder that can also play as a center forward. He's on loan from Genoa. A player that already played 3 minutes in Serie A. I believe it was last season. Yeah, last season. This season, I believe for the first game, he has been called up. He didn't play. He didn't enter in Serie A, but already had that experience with the Primavera because you have no next gen. You have no third division with Genoa, so he already has some experience with the youth of Genoa. A beautiful prospect that with us also there. Didn't start all the games yet in Serie C. By the way, I was wrong. It's the second player from the next gen because Owusu is not alone. Owusu and Papadopoulos also there. 31% of the starting 11 with the third division team, the second team of Juve, which shows that for the next gen we have really a lot of difficulties. We really now need to start creating and making points, which is also important why Thiago Motta didn't want to go and take the best available one from the team of Brambilla, but going probably with the one that are having at the moment a bit less opportunities to start and to play. But him, 12 games played, so he always enters, 1 goal, only 1 goal, 0 assists. It's a player that came with a lot of promises, but at the moment it's not delivering yet at his fullest potential. Oh, these are the 5 players. I hope I gave you a lot of information about them, that you get to know them better. Again, I tell you, romantic side, Montero. The one that I'm really curious about, Owusu, but first, he needs to unlock himself. The one that I believe a lot in is Diego Pugno. Who can play tomorrow? Well, maybe Pagnucco. Who knows? A Pugno or a Papadopoulos. I'm really curious about these players entering tomorrow against Lecce. What else did he say, Thiago Motta? Well, he spoke about the players that are absent. At the moment, Dusan is not available. He didn't want to speak too much about the unavailable players. He says, we have full confidence in our players. Whoever is here, he needs to give a bit more, that little extra to compensate actually the unavailability of the other ones. He spoke about Lecce. When you change coach, of course, you have more enthusiasm. The players that were not playing that much, they have also that motivation to show again, to also do that little extra. So pay attention to Lecce that won the last game, the first game of their new coach. So pay attention to that. The injury, not a coincidence. Words that he said before the game of Aston Villa. He said, I was not referring to Juve. I was referring in general, because if we are analyzing all the teams, a lot of teams have some injuries. Then Fagioli. He didn't want to speak too much about Fagioli. He said he's good like all the other players, but he must continue to show that he deserves to play. From the start, playing 95 minutes or entering from the bench, he needs to continue to show. That was it. So quite cold about Niccolò Fagioli. What about Mercato? He says, we are extremely aligned with the sporting director Cristiano Giuntoli, but I don't want to speak about it because I'm totally focused on Lecce. What about the other games? Bologna, Venezia, these games, do we need to win them? Do we change strategy that will be different than the games that we play against Aston Villa and Milan? He said, look, focus on Lecce, 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 not the other games. And I think he's totally correct, because tomorrow I told you, if the coach is saying no alibi, no excuses, but he's not promising you 100% to win, this is what I want to understand. I want really to go there with full intensity at the max playing. We don't care. We don't care about the other games. We focus on Lecce. We go, we win 3 points. We bring them home, and we can continue to recuperate play, or continue. Hopefully we don't lose anymore, but we start recuperating our players so that we are sticking there. We are catching the other ones, maybe because they will play some games. Roma, Inter, Fiorentina will all play against each other. So you never know in life if you can recuperate a bit of points from the other ones. But it's important to make points, and I'm happy that the bench, even if it's with Primavera players, but that when Montero will look on the side, he will see these players. Put a maximum of like if you enjoyed the video. No editing, guys. I don't have the energy. I will go back on the coach now. I will read the book of Buffon, and then maybe I will sleep. Grazie, forza, Juve.